Alright, so it seems like the drama in the Roblox dress-up community is never ending because It Girl has recently been accused of stealing assets from The Sims. And this came out in a tweet, and there's articles about it and all this stuff, so we're gonna go over it today. Now, I very quickly have to say this is all alleged. Nothing's been proven in a court of law. There is some evidence to suggest that this could be true, but again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm just sharing the information with you guys, and you guys can let me know what you think. On top of that, it's been brought to my attention that I now need to watermark any screenshots in my videos because yesterday a very large YouTuber made a video about a situation that I'd also spoken about, and I believe I was the first person to talk about it. And instead of doing their own research, they just basically scalped every single one of the screenshots out of my video basically and used it in theirs and didn't credit me, which I don't own screenshots, but I did spend a lot of time researching, and as a massive creator, I think it would have been kind to credit the person that you took all the screenshots from, but regardless, now I have to, I guess, watermark my stuff, which sucks. But anyways, getting straight into it. So I was scrolling on Twitter, as one does, chronically online moment, and I came across this tweet that was basically written by somebody called The Sims Community, and it reads, Roblox creators caught stealing The Sims 4 custom content for game It Girl. Now, this is just an allegation, so keep that in mind, but there is also a blog post put out about this, like a whole article, and it's a decently long article. It's got a lot of content to it. So just a quick overview for those of you that don't know. The Sims 4 is basically like a roleplay game, which I'm sure most of you guys would know, but there's a section of Sims 4 called Custom Content, where basically 3D modelers and artists can upload their own content, including hairs, accessories, makeup, stuff like that. It's actually really similar to the Roblox marketplace, but the whole point is it makes your Sims content experience a lot more immersive and can add a lot of stuff, especially since the Sims 4 expansion packs are so expensive. It's really helpful when you have other creators making content, so maybe you want like a certain type of hair and you don't want to buy a whole extension pack. You can literally just get that hair from the marketplace, and some of the assets are free, some are purchased and stuff like that, and basically that's just how some creators make their money, and a lot of people purchase them, and it's like a whole marketplace sort of thing. Now, the accusations in this article is that It Girl has allegedly stolen assets from the custom creator marketplace on The Sims 4 and re-uploaded them to their game. If you guys maybe don't quite understand how this works, when custom content is added, more specifically like clothing or hairs, those are 3D models. And basically the way that it works is that when you purchase the model, you can basically use it in your Sim, so it downloads a file. And I guess somehow these people are taking the file and adapting it to Roblox, which typically involves reducing the size of the file, which means it's going to have less detail because Roblox in their games, they only allow certain sized files, and once the file becomes too big, the game lags. Emphasis on stuff like Royal High. Royal High has a ton of files and a ton of layers and details to their clothing, so that makes the game lag. And so the less lag you want, the smaller your file set to be, so a lot of the files will be simplified. Now, there is some pretty concrete evidence, in my opinion, of the alleged theft, but keep in mind this is all just alleged and speculation at this point. I did look at It Girl's page and I didn't see any comments about it, but we'll see. So basically the article reads, sketchy things with Roblox, shocker. In a not so shocking turn of events, the Roblox fashion game It Girl has been found to contain illegally converted Sims 4 custom content assets. These assets have been added, converted, and are currently being sold for the Roblox exclusive Robux currency and on the in-game player-to-player marketplace. Unfortunately, this isn't new. The swath of unapproved conversions by the Sims 4 custom content creators is just another instance of decades of poor behavior within the greater gaming community. And in this next section, they just kind of go over how hairstyles and content is typically stolen. They talk about in a section that creators of The Sims also act as a sort of reservoir that modders for other game franchises siphon to enhance their own character creations. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim mod uses Anto's many wonderful hairstyle mods comes to mind. So this is just an example of someone who created content on The Sims and then was then used for another game without their permission. Now, if you go down, there's also this section where they say this is something that has been happening since early aughts with the original The Sims release, long before Patreon and social media platforms, when random companies would just lift hundreds of assets of custom content and illegally sell them as their own creations at big box retailers. Now, if we look down, they basically have these examples. I guess some people are speculating that there's more, but this is what I can find that is concrete in my opinion. This first one made by SUNBERRY, and it's this like bubble dress, and it says ribbon knit dress set, but this kind of looks like a bubble dress to me, I don't know. But basically, you can see that this is the original asset that was uploaded as custom content for The Sims. Now, if you look to the side, we can see that there's this dress in It Girl. Now, if you look, there's some similarities. Now, obviously, you can tell the It Girl dress has less definition. It has less detail. There isn't as many wrinkles and stuff like that. But if we look closely, you can actually see there is some very distinct similarities that I feel like are more than just a coincidence. If we look at the triangle in the original model below the bust, you can see that it's a triangle where the sides come out and the top of the triangle is actually flat because the middle of the ribbon is in the way. If we look at the example here, you can see the triangle, and then look, it's flat at the top. That's an interesting coincidence. Personally, I feel like if I was drawing this, I would make it connect at the top because that's just kind of how I visualize it in my mind, but you never know. On top of that, if we look at the bubble skirt portion, you can see there's this little bulge here, which is meant to be like a fold, obviously. And look, that same bulge is on this same model. So it's interesting that that's basically in the exact same spot on this dress. On top of that, you can see that there's these wrinkles, and the wrinkles actually do line up with some of the wrinkles on the dress. On top of that, you can see that on the sides here, on the sides of the original dress of the bow, there's one bulge, two bulge. If you look here, one bulge, two bulge. And I'm not trying to use the word bulge in like a weird way, but that's the only word I can think of to call it. Like it just sticks out. And then if we look to the next example, this one was made by Learxfl, I think is how you say that. But it's basically this dress. Now, if you look at the top where this dress is, it is basically like a summer dress. And there's two examples. There's one where it's textured, so it has color on it, and the other one is just the basic model, okay, without the color. And if we look, we can see that the dress has 1, 2, 3, and potentially like a fourth tier at the top here, like a little thing. It's kind of hard to see. And if you look at this example that they referenced, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has a little notch at the top that could be layer or not, but it also has the same amount of tiers. On top of that, you can see that the way the skirt here goes in and down, that's the exact same as the original model. On top of that, there's this little two pieces sticking out, which is the same as the original model, and it goes down the same way. It's shorter on the left, longer on the right. Now, if you look at the top of the dress, you can actually see that it has something called a sweetheart neckline, which I actually learned from Say Yes to the Dress, which is funny. But it's basically like a heart. So it has like a circular heart shape at the beginning, and then it comes down into like a V in the middle. On top of that, if you look at the straps, this is important. This is what really locks it in for me. If you look at the straps of the example here, on the Sims characters, their shoulders kind of slope down like real shoulders, like in real life, on specifically, feminine shoulders where it goes downwards. And basically, in order to accommodate to that, the straps will be tilted off to the side. And as you can see, these straps aren't just 90 degrees. They're about, I'd say like 110 degrees out. They're like turned a little bit. And if you look at this dress here, the straps are also turned. Why would there be a need for that to be turned when the shoulders in this game are pretty much just straight? Interesting. Now on top of that, there's this other shirt. It's this tropical summer tank. And if you look, you can see that it looks the exact same. Now, the one where it has the texture, on the right hand or left hand side, sorry, it has this kind of like aura color. On the other side, just kind of tie-dye. If you look at this example of this shirt, it looks like kind of like an aura, and then the other side is also an aura. So it looks like they just took the texture and flipped it, I guess. And what's really telling to me is if you look at these ribbons, look at the way they fold. This folds in, out, in, out. In, out, in, out. Interesting. On top of that, there's 3 tiers to the folds. There's 3 tiers on the original model, and you can look, there's 2 strings on the original model coming from the tie in the middle of the dress. And the string on the left is shorter, the string on the right is longer. And we look, the string on the left is shorter, the string on the right is longer. Very interesting. Now the final image is an image of these boots with these socks. And you can tell right off the bat, it doesn't look the exact same, but my opinion as to why this is because the original sock is basically ribbed, so it has like this texture pattern to it. And on Roblox, you have to again reduce the amount of texture and details to your assets so they can fit within Roblox's systems. And so I believe that maybe they potentially just smoothed it out to limit the amount of, parts and triangles that were part of the model. Now, something that's very telling to me with this boot is if you look at the example here, you can see that there's a line that comes up from the top of the boot and goes around to where the base is. And it's the exact same line as here. On top of that, these boots have a very square, flat front. And look, these boots have a very square, flat front with a square toe. And, maybe that doesn't look like a coincidence. So if you look at these boots, you can see the front of the boot actually comes off the ground a little bit. And the front of this boot comes off the ground a little bit. The heel also has like a little platform, just like the example. And if you look at the way the socks come over, the socks kind of come over the front of the boot, and then there's a 1 fold, 2 fold, and like a slight 3rd fold, but I think that's just like part of the calf. But it's like 1 fold, 2 fold. If you look here, it comes over the boot, 1 fold, 2 fold, and this slight little fold up here, 3 fold. Coincidence? Maybe. I don't know. Very interesting. Now, obviously, I understand that when 3D modelers make content, they typically have like an image in their Blender as they're working on it. So I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, like this was for sure stolen. Maybe they just use the exact same reference image, but even then, how is it that like this, even the straps were tilted? Like, I feel like there's so many similarities here, it's a little bit difficult to ignore and to say it's just a coincidence. And they go on to basically just say that this isn't an uncommon thing, that there's actually been a lot of issues with Sims assets being stolen and re-uploaded to Roblox. Now, the unfortunate part of this is that EA, so the developer who made The Sims, they reserve all the rights to custom content and stuff like that. So in order for people to actually take legal action against the game, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so keep that in mind, but there's one of two options. The actual creator of the custom content could file like a civil suit towards the game itself, which I don't think would be the case because that's very expensive, and typically individuals don't really want to do that unless they have a very solid case, and I don't know if this is super solid. The other thing too is that EA could actually go after Roblox and file a copyright infringement notice, which is kind of similar to what happened earlier in the past years, where Nike logos and stuff like that, Adidas logos, were taken off of Roblox, and they basically removed the ability to have radios in games because uploaded assets for like Ariana Grande, Ed Sheeran, like their music was being uploaded, and Roblox got in trouble for that, and they were threatened to be sued. And so we know Roblox has been kind of iffy about intellectual property, and in order for, you know, something to actually happen about this, I think EA would have to actually go after Roblox. I don't think they go after It Girl itself. I think they would go after Roblox as a platform because they're facilitating the selling and trading of these items, and anytime It Girl makes a sale, Roblox makes money, so they're indirectly making money from the theft, alleged theft, of items from The Sims. So in that wavelength, it would have to be EA that goes ahead and files a lawsuit against Roblox, I guess, and then Roblox would then take, I guess, moderation action against the game, but the chances of it happening, I don't really know. On top of that, the article encourages people to talk about this, and I haven't seen anybody talk about this, hence why all the screenshots are watermarked, because I don't need someone scalping my video again. But my intention with this is to bring awareness to this. It's not to send hate to It Girl, it's not to demonize It Girl, it's not to cancel them, because I think cancel culture is an incredibly toxic thing. But, you know, at the end of the day, It Girl has had a lot of controversy on Roblox, more specifically with Dress to Impress, and there's been some, like, headbutting in that space and some issues, and I think they worked it out and it was all fine. But for a game that's been accused of copying other games, i.e. Dress to Impress, it's been accused of copying them, and for them to be falsely accused of doing so and say, no, we're different, like, we're doing different things, and we're unique, and, you know, we're creative, whatever, to then allegedly steal assets from other creators, I think it's contradictory. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. If you've been accused of copying other people and you understand that's harmful, why would you then allegedly go and steal content from other small creators? It just seems very messy, and, you know, I think to a degree, maybe, you know, whoever uploaded these assets didn't realize that it was from the Sims creators. And I'm trying to be kind of a devil's advocate here. Maybe the assets were stolen by somebody else and uploaded as free content on another website and they took it not realizing. I don't know, but regardless, I just hope that when this is brought to their attention, they do something about it, either by issuing an apology to the creators that they allegedly have stolen content from, or, you know, maybe firing whoever stole this content, or if there was like an incident where the content was labeled as free online after it had been stolen, that they report that. But regardless, I couldn't really find any social medias for them. I mean, I haven't seen any statements, so maybe they made a statement, I don't know. Let me know, guys, if you guys have seen that. But my intention with this is just bring it to their attention and just share information, because as a small creator, I understand how harmful it is when a larger creator or game steals your content. It's obviously very annoying. It feels like you're defeated. It's very unfortunate, right? And I think for a game that's been falsely accused of copying other games, and a game that's, you know, had experience with people dogpiling them, I feel like it's unfortunate that they would then allegedly go and take content from other small creators. I think it just doesn't make quite a lot of sense in my mind. On top of that, though, there was actually a post by another creator on Twitter in response to their post. The Sims community post. And it reads, FYI, Sims creators have stolen from me before, so I don't know what the hell they're doing. And this creator by the name of Ray claims that allegedly this article is kind of one-sided, because apparently there has been issues with Sims creators stealing assets from Roblox. And when someone asked them about it, they replied with a picture of this hair, which is like this like updo. I'm trying to find it. Where'd it go? Right here, this updo. So it has like these kind of like swirly parts in the hair. It has these bangs, these little curled parts at the front where it curls in and then out. If you look, there's this hair. It's called Kayla hair on The Sims, and it has the same 3 little swoops, 3 little spirals and these 2 pieces coming out of the sides. The bangs are cut in the exact same way, and this person by the name of Ray is alleging that a creator on The Sims stole their content. And Ray is someone who's made a lot of Roblox UGC, so I would err on the side that they are most likely telling the truth, obviously. And so I feel like this is a two-way street. I think it's unfair for the creator of this article to necessarily portray it as Sims creators are constantly victimized by Roblox, which I think is an issue, right? But at the same time, Roblox creators are subsequently also being victimized by Sims creators. I think there needs to be some new legislation and just rules on what can and cannot be taken, what is intellectual property, what is theft, what is, stealing items, because I think there's kind of like a gray area with that. It's very difficult to actually get justice if your content is stolen. But regardless, it seems like this is a two-way street. It's not just a single-sided issue. It seems like creators all throughout this digital space are stealing each other's stuff, which honestly just shouldn't happen. I think it's unfair. Let's just make your own content. Don't steal from other people. It's stupid. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Do you think this is just a coincidence? Is there maybe more to the story? Do you think there's an explanation for this? Or do you think it's just outright stealing? Let me know, and again, my intention is just to share this information, and hopefully It Girl, if this is the case, will take down the items and apologize to the original creators. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!